Former football player, star Brandon Marshall. He played 13 seasons in the NFL, including 6 Pro Bowl appearances. In 2011, a few years into his career, he was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder after receiving inpatient mental health treatment. He's been open about his experience, and in 2018, he launched House of Athlete, which is dedicated to improving both the physical and mental fitness for athletes today. Brandon, good morning. How you doing, man?
Good morning, teammate. How you doing?
What's up, baby? One, I want to say I'm proud of you. I love what you're doing. Incredible work in your post-career stage.
Thank you.
Let's start with the diagnosis. What was it, and when did it happen, and how did you respond?
Yeah, 2011, Nate, I was on a practice field, and I dropped 4 balls. And that's the first time I realized that something was going on, which is interesting because 4 years before, or 4 years leading up to those 4 dropped balls in practice, life was a living hell. And it wasn't the things that were happening off the field that was getting my attention. It was actually the things that was on the field that was getting my attention. Like, football's our sanctuary.
Right.
That's our escape. And that's when I realized I needed help. And I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. The best way to describe it is emotional disorder. And I spent 3 months at McLean Hospital in an outpatient program going through dialectical behavior therapy, self-assessment, mentalization, cognitive behavior therapy. And I was there from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
What was the response from your teammates, even your family and friends?
I'll never forget, we had Coach Nolan, defensive coordinator, legendary defensive coordinator. I'm sitting there at the 50-yard line right after I shared with the world what I was dealing with, and I was doing this form of practice called gazing, and defense was up, and I was just focused on the 50 across the field, and he walked up to me, he said, "Brandon," and he looked at me like just weird. He said, "Are you on medicine? Are you taking medicine?" I said, "No." I said, "I'm just practicing on my concentration." And so people just looked at me with a lot of curiosity. They were paying attention to every move.
Some called you crazy.
Well, everybody called me that, right? Because at the time, nobody was doing that, right? And I'm kind of like getting goosebumps looking at this set right now because walking the halls of Congress and doing all the work that we did back in the day, the thing I used to always say is we have to paint the world lime green. No one even knew what lime green meant in 2011, 2012, 2013. The NFL fined me for wearing cleats, lime green cleats, to raise awareness in 2013 in Chicago. So to see this is amazing.
Now, you touched on it a little bit, but borderline personality disorder, for those who don't know what it's like in the day of someone that might be dealing with that, break it down.
Emotional disorder. Ricky Williams, legendary running back. I came in one day, I said, "Ricky, you think I got a problem? You think something's wrong?" He said, "Brandon, no." You know Ricky's voice. He said, "Brandon, no, I don't think that something's wrong with you. I just think you say the things that we all want to say and shouldn't say," right? And I probably still get that a little bit, but it was that being able to navigate through any stress, any emotions, self-regulate, get yourself back down to baseline, right? Like, that's what dialectical behavior therapy helped me do, get those skills and tools. Mentalization therapy, be able to sit back and process. So McLean Hospital helped me out a lot, Dr. Gunderson, and I always say I went from a patient to provider.
There's so many reasons why these stigmas exist.
Yeah.
It could be societal. They're also generational.
Yep.
For a lot of African-American men, as boys, these aren't things we talk about. We don't sit down at the dinner table and go around and look at each other and say, "How was your day? How are you feeling? Do you want to open up to me about something?" We may do that now as parents, but what was it like growing up for you?
Yeah, so, we're trained and raised to survive, not necessarily thrive in a lot of our neighborhoods, right? Because of the things that we have to deal with outside the home, the conversations that we have with our children, our parents have with us before we leave the house. So you always have to be tough. You always have to be on. Men, football players, we're trained to be macho, and we're trained to mask pain. We can never show any signs of weakness. You know this even in the locker room.
Right.
If I say that I'm hurt, then I'm weak.
We have a little bit of time. I want to go off script. John Morant is in the headlines. And as 2 professional athletes who've been there, done that, made our fair share of mistakes, give me your thoughts on what you see he is going through.
Yeah. Well, I would say we'll be playing into the stigma if we want to self-diagnose him or if we want to diagnose him. Right. What I will say, because of our experience and being around so many different young men in that locker room, coming in as boys ourselves and leaving as men, I would say that it's immaturity, right? He's 23, he's young, and he's glorifying a lifestyle that he doesn't come from.
I agree with you 100%. I feel like we want to get away from certain lifestyles once we start making money.
Yep.
But at the same time, when we get money and praise and people look up to us, we can create any identity that we want.
That's right.
It's not necessarily about the games that he will be suspended. I don't want his career to be ruined because of this moment. What I want him to do is recognize that his life could be ruined if he's around the wrong people that may carry guns and are really about that life. So for us, seeing the same thing, this is a young man who's trying to find himself.
That's right.
And I'd say the sooner the better for him and his friends and family. It's not necessarily about a circle. It's about him making the right decisions. Last question. Do you still want to play football? Because Aaron Rodgers is playing with the Jets, right? For former teams.
I'm too old. I'm too old.
Oh, he's too old.
I may have
all
30
of a
plays
sudden.
left in me. I may have 30 plays left in me at tight end. Give him a 3rd and 5 red zone fade route.
All right. Well, listen, I appreciate you joining me, and we don't say this enough. I love you, man.
I love you, man.
All right, good to see you. Brandon Marshall. If you or someone is seeking mental health resources, you can call the National Alliance on Mental Illness helpline at 1-800-950-6264.